Hello and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role playing. It's Monday night, which means that we'll be playing Call of Cthulhu's 7th edition. This is the third arc in an anthology series that I've been the keeper for. This arc is called Baile. The previous arcs have been Darkwood and Fingask, and they're available to view in full on our YouTube. Let's introduce our stream manager for the evening, John. I said your name really weirdly then, John. I don't know why.
That's
John
fine.
from
Jonny.
now on. How are you? You well?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
Are you
Fine,
looking
thank
forward
you.
to the spookies?
Yeah, John's had a mild spoiler for this evening because John is in charge of putting images, etc., up on screen. So I sent a number of things over to John earlier that will later appear on screen as long as the investigators get that far and or survive that long. So that'll be fun. John also is responsible for all the character art, and it's all wonderful, and you'll see it all shortly. So thanks for that, John, and thanks for your stream managing in advance.
Have fun.
Hi, John. So below the video, there are links to our Twitch and this is Twitch, our YouTube if you're watching this on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. There is a link to our Discord, which you can join and come and chat to us. Our Patreon, which you can, there are different levels of monetary support that you can give to the channel in exchange for rewards, ranging from access to other bits of the Discord that other people don't have access to, where you get behind the scenes information, things like that. All the way up to Matt, who runs other games on the channel, running a game for you and your friends once a month. So have a look on there if you want to support us. And there are also links to our social media, Twitter and Instagram. So you can keep up to date with our news and chat with us on there as well. Other things on the channel: Tuesday nights, Blades in the Dark. Wednesday night, Simba Room, the Free League game that it's been running now for over a year on the channel, and that's exciting. And then the first Saturday of every month, or usually the first Saturday of every month, we have a different one-shot adventure run by different people with different players. So far we've had Alien, Troika, Morkborg, Fiasco, The Expanse, Honey Heist, and the new One Ring 2nd edition. And the next one is this coming Saturday, which is the 11th, and that is Dungeon World, which Pierre will be running. So that's going to be very enjoyable. All that stuff out of the way, let's do recaps on last session. So if Steve, who plays Edmund, could come on. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jonny.
Do you want to? It was a pretty discussion-heavy session last week, which was great. Lots of good discussion. Do you want to run us through a little bit about what was said and some main points therein?
We also stayed very safe inside as well, so perhaps that's we might have hit on something there. Anyway, yes. So we started off last time with the bombshell had just been dropped that Mary and the Reverend John Moore had determined which organisation Netta had been a part of, and that was, as we'd said last time, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. But we had rather more detail on that, which was that Netta was part of an offshoot of that called Alpha et Omega, which was specifically interested in occult research. Mary and John, that they had no real idea as to how this group had found what we refer to as the book, with kind of implicit capitalization. But yes, they seem to be involved, have a link with that somehow. What else? Yes, we learnt some rather more disturbing history about what happened after Fingask and Darkwood, Durisdir, the events there, and that so for Fingask, the horrid circus that we were forced to be a part of, that had totally disappeared when Mary went back later on. No sign of it at all. It's as if it had never been there. And also with Durisdir, anybody had been left in the village after the characters had escaped, again, totally disappeared. So the Durisdir was utterly abandoned when Mary went back to look at the place. That's all rather disturbing. We managed to shock Mary by revealing that we'd found there'd been a knife left by Netta's body, which had not been mentioned by the police. And now we have the situation where we don't know whether the police are just inept. They are sort of volunteers, so perhaps they didn't find it, perhaps they lost it, perhaps they just not mentioned it, or perhaps they're in on it. That could be a bit disturbing. And also we realised at that point that none of us have seen the Netta's body, so all of the information we have so far has been filtered through the police. So Mary's quite keen to get a first-hand accounts. What else? I think basically we went off on all sorts of discussions. I think most pertinently, Mary decides to go off and follow up on a character from Fingask named John Rowett, who was instrumental in some of those events. So that's what she's going to be doing in the day to come. I think that's basically it. We have a whole list of things to do. Anything else I've forgotten?
I think that was the main bits of that discussion. Cool. Yeah. So as well as that, Jemima had managed to find a book on the shelves in the pub in the previous session, which Eliza. So if Inga could come on, who plays Eliza. Eliza spent some time digging into the book Iona by Fiona MacLeod, which was given as part of the reason that Netta had decided to come to Iona in the first place. Do you want to give us a bit of info on what you found in there?
Yeah, so Jemima had read that there was a prophecy about Christ coming back to the Isle of Iona, and when Eliza had a read through as well before going for a walk and stuff before bed, she read a little bit more detail about that. I'm actually just going to read the quote because I can't do it justice otherwise. I think something about now as the bride of Christ, now as the daughter of God, now as the divine spirit embodied through mortal birth in a woman, as once through a mortal birth in a man, the coming of a new presence and power. So there's a lot of disturbing stuff there about, well, there's obviously some sort of religious symbolism, but the new presence and power also potentially seems kind of disturbing. And there's also some reference to a historian of Iona who, it's not explicitly stated in the text, but they're sort of presented as some sort of embodiment of the island itself. And there's some sort of personification of the history and spirit and what the island is and what it means. Which I don't think any of us really made a whole lot of sense out of. I think we're all a bit more literal than this kind of thick stuff that we were reading. But yeah, that was some of the kind of interesting stuff that we gleaned from this. And there's definitely some sort of strange spiritual connections, whether they're kind of more traditionally religious or mythological in some description or some other sort of otherworldly power. So lots to chew over.
Absolutely. Then followed Jemima. So if Sam can come on, who plays Jemima. Hey, hello. Sam, do you want to tell us about Jemima's main input, I think, to last week's adventure?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll put down my pen because I'm obviously making notes on all of the things that people are saying because I'm like, it's the first role I ever made notes and I'm always like, nah, it's all going to be in my head. It's all going to be in my head. No, can't do it. Damn you and your murder mystery. Yeah, so I think the session before we had found out about Dion Fortune, who was a friend of Netta down in London, who we thought maybe was in the same order, and we had some ideas about her and thought it might be interesting to get in touch with her. Jemima was unanimously voted, well, unanimous, but Jemima's vote, to go and make the phone call. We thought we might as well just get it over and done with that evening, because I think it was only like 8 o'clock or something. So Jemima, after much nervous preparation, just went to make the call, and was about to hang up when Dion answered the phone. She was, despite being in London, she had definitely had a Welsh accent, and she was very suspicious of me. She didn't seem to trust me. She was concerned maybe I was from the police, asking questions. I kind of lied, gave my name as Miss Livingston, and then just kind of tried to make it so I was a concerned friend-ish who'd met her on travels. And she kind of opened up a little bit, told me a little bit about Netta, that they had been friends, but she'd kind of fallen out with her and didn't really want anything to do with her because she'd pushed too far, I think. I can't remember exactly what she said, but along those lines, she was getting too tangled up in things, and she was, honestly, Dion seemed to be scared of what she was doing. But she was sad to find out that Netta was dead. We didn't really know if she knew or not. It kind of seemed like she didn't know, but it also kind of maybe seemed a bit like she wasn't massively surprised by the news. I think that's fair to say. She was definitely scared for herself. It seemed like she was effectively in hiding, but we didn't really obviously find out about her and the order or anything, because I wasn't trying to blow my cover as such. Yeah, the only other really interesting thing she said as well was that she was looking for, I think she was looking for or traveling with or something like that. I can't remember exactly what. I think it was looking for the green ray elementals. Of course, I had no idea what that was, so she clarified it to fairies, which means quite a lot to us. That's an interesting way of putting it, of course, so we're kind of curious about that now as well. But I think that was about all we kind of got from Dion. Is that fair, Jonny? Is that everything?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much
Cool. Then I hung up and relaxed a little more after a frantic conversation.
Then after a short stroll in which nothing untoward happened, everybody returned back to the Argyle. And if Matt can come on, he plays Dane. Hey, Matt, do you want to take us through some spooky dreams?
I'd love to. So after the walk, everyone kind of turned in and said goodnight, which was in vain, apparently. Everyone experienced their kind of a separate dream. So rather than the last time where we kind of all shared a dream, we all seem to have our own dreams this time. So for Dane, his dream was that he was hiking alone in sort of sand dunes, and was approaching kind of a big city in the distance. As the sun was sort of beating down on him, he was getting very thirsty, and approaching the city, he saw the gates of the city, and at the gates there was a pharaoh waiting for him to meet him with a cup of water. But as Dane took the water to drink from it, the water turned to blood. For Jemima, she was walking through the halls of again an ancient city, and saw a pharaoh kind of waving her along, kind of gesturing for her to join him, and took her through to a sort of a pond area with lots of different wildlife and animals. And Jemima was kind of looking at the animals and the flora and fauna there, and saw a frog jumping out of the water towards her, and then one more, and then another, and then another, and another, and she gradually found herself sort of smothered by these frogs that were all jumping on top of her. For Edmund, he was in his dream, he's walking kind of arm in arm with a pharaoh who leads him to the top of a sand dune, giving him a sort of vista view of the desert. After looking out at the vista, he notices suddenly that he's alone. The pharaoh has gone, and he sees a storm in the distance. Then there's a crack of thunder, and suddenly this huge storm of hail and fire opens up in front of him. And finally, Eliza, again stood in the streets of an ancient city with people going about their day. She looks up to the sky, and then the sun disappears, and the dream is plunged into darkness. And the only thing she can, the only way she knows she's still in a dream is that there are the screams of the people in the streets around her. So yeah, lovely dreams all round.
So, you all wake in the morning, and you all remember your individual dreams. Steve, can I have a sanity roll for Edmund, please? Actually, no, sorry. Can I have an idea roll for Edmund?
An idea roll for Edmund. Okay.
Yes, please.
57, which, yes, that is a pass because my idea is 85.
In that case, can I have a sanity roll, please?
Oh, dear. Yeah, I rolled 66, so that is a fail. Sanity of 60.
You wake in a sweat in the morning, and as you wake, you realize that the pharaoh that you have seen, all of a sudden, he slots into one of the morphing shapes that you saw when you looked at the ringmaster through the glass. Lose 2 sanity, please.
Oh dear. That's not good.
Everybody else just wakes thinking that they've had a strange dream.
Always sleep well when I dream of frogs.
I guess I'll head downstairs. Definitely looking for a strong cup of tea for the start of the day.
Yeah, I would as well. Fairly briskly, I think. You get to get going. I think I got an early night, so maybe I'm down there already.
Dane's going to kind of have a look out the window and take a moment to just see how the day is looking before he heads down.
Yeah, I would say that if you would probably wake slightly before sunrise, probably based on the time of year. But you've got that kind of glimmer of low light that you get before it's sunrise. And there's a low mist settled that, again, you think if the sun comes out, it's probably gonna clear away. So yeah, but chilly, definitely chilly outside. Jemima, as you go downstairs, William and Kate are already kind of milling around, and William says, "Oh, good morning. Can I offer you a tea, some breakfast?"
A tea first would be nice. Maybe a little longer till breakfast. Thank you very much.
Very good. He goes into the kitchen as Kate is kind of cleaning some tables. Did you sleep well?
Yes, quite peacefully. Slightly unusual dreams, but not too unpleasant. Yes, very comfy beds here.
I think sometimes when people go from a city to a rural area, they can find that their dreams shift slightly as their minds come to terms with the different scenery around them.
Yes, and things like noises in the night and such. Lots of natural sounds here. It's very pleasant to sleep to.
I think
Very
probably
happy
at this
to hear
point, Edmund will. I'm presuming there's stairs. There's an upstairs. Yeah, so I come downstairs looking quite tired and sort of worn and old, and sort of pause as I see the rest of the group, and then make my way to a table and sit down quite heavily.
Did you not sleep so well, Mr. Carter?
No. No, I'm afraid I didn't. Well, I had a dream, and in that dream I saw, I saw the face, or one of the faces of the ringmaster.
Look over to see if they're still making tea away from earshot distance.
Yes, yeah. They're both. Yeah, if you're talking quietly, then you're fine.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll probably
I guess
follow your gaze and sort of. Oh, yeah.
Are you here as well, Eliza? Then I'm assuming at this point.
Yeah, we're all at the table now, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Wait, Edmund, you saw him. What did you do? What happened? Are you all right?
Well, I'm okay for the moment. Somewhat shaken, I'm afraid. I saw one of his forms. You remember the lens, the events at the circus. One of the images that I happened to glimpse back then was how he appeared in this dream. He seemed to be a pharaoh, and was showing me a landscape just ruined by fire.
What kind of landscape?
Barren sort of desert.
He was a pharaoh.
Yes.
We didn't see that at the circus.
Oh, you might not have done. Unfortunately, when I looked through the lens, I saw a plethora of shapes and forms, and some were more recognizable than others. And I'd forgotten, to be honest. But yes, as soon as I saw this pharaoh form again, it snapped back.
Do you think he's trying to reach out to you the same way that he did with Netta? Do we need to be worried about? Do you think he's trying to attack your mind as well now?
I don't know.
I mean, I thought I had a strange dream last night, but I didn't see the ringmaster, and I'm grateful to think maybe it was just a normal bad dream. But
well, what did you see?
It was just in a city, and then suddenly the sun disappeared, and then people were screaming, but I didn't see a pharaoh or the ringmaster or anything like that. Truth be told, I was a little rattled this morning. It's still dark outside. For moments, I just wondered where the sun had gone here as well, but it's just dark.
Dane is sort of rubbing his temples. I don't know if Jemima's going to say anything, but he needs a minute.
I think I will look at Dane having his minute and be like, I also dreamt of a place like that. Now I'm hearing what you're saying. Mine was you could say a plague of frogs. What did you dream, Dane?
So he's just been kind of nodding with his rubbing his temples. Yeah, I saw a pharaoh, the pharaoh, our pharaoh, and I was in the desert. I was walking through the desert, and I got thirsty, and I walked towards the city, and he was there, and he offered me water. But when I took it, it changed
to blood.
Yeah.
So the dreams are connected, even though they weren't the same. There are common threads. I mean, I didn't see a pharaoh, but it certainly seemed like an ancient city of some kind. It could have been connected.
I think at the point that each character realizes that all of their stuff is kind of, we'll have a sanity roll. Not for Edmund. He's already done one. I think that's fine for Edmund.
The Great Plagues of Egypt. Ace that sanity roll.
Fail. I was like 63. I'm like, oh, does that pass? That's higher than my maths anyway.
Eliza's not that sane.
Just one sanity if you fail.
I genuinely rolled a 1.
Wow.
Dane's cool with this. Makes sense, really. Seems fair.
Oh, my sanity is not so good right now.
Was your starting max sanity 45 or something like that at the beginning of the last game?
It was 55 at the very beginning, and then I think I ended up on 45 or something at the end of the last arc, but I'm now on 38. It probably tracks character-wise.
Yeah.
Just think though, you could get so much Cthulhu Mythos and you'd be fine. The upside.
Well, this is very, very worrying. We were getting dreams again, and this doesn't make any sense. We're hearing stories about Christ, and then we're getting things from the Old Testament. None of this makes any sense.
It's very biblical. What's going on here? It doesn't seem to match, as you say, what we've read. Have you seen much relating to theistic faiths, Mr. Carter, in your research?
Not that I can recall. No.
No, me neither. In fact, almost conspicuously, typically not too related. It's a lot of things outside of what would be considered normal faith.
Well, I mean, many of the people that I spoke to who claim to have had some sort of experience with this were religious in one way or another, as are many people. So many of them were like Mrs. McRae and would cling to their faith. But, you know, these days people aren't really talking about plagues and the like.
I would just... How can we share... How can we have connected dreams? That makes...
I'd say
nothing makes sense anymore.
It's clearly one of the commonalities of all of our experiences. It seems to keep happening in all of these places. With other people who have been involved with it as well, it seems like dreams are shared.
There's obviously some kind of access. I don't understand how it works, but this is what Netta was talking about, right?
Yes, her mind was attacked. That's got to be what these dreams are. That something is invading our minds, and it's an awful violation. But I don't understand why.
I'm not sure I agree with you, Miss Smith. I think Dane might be right. It might be less invasion, more we have access to this for one reason or another. We are somehow part of this communication or this stream of information. It's this consciousness from somewhere else. I don't know how to put it, but we are all linked by it somehow. I don't quite know how. Not necessarily for ill directly, although it may, of course, cause us great ill.
That's more worrying, isn't it?
Didn't do it. Didn't say that to make us feel better. Though.
I didn't feel attacked.
I agree.
You don't feel attacked.
I didn't feel attacked at all. It seemed like
I didn't at the time. But if something is invading our minds and putting these images in our heads unwillingly for us, and it has to be something doing it if we're all getting these connections.
I think Edmund is probably leafing through a notebook that is plucked from his pocket at this point. The talk of linked consciousnesses and that sort of thing.
From all of the dreams, I'm thinking Jemima had 2 or 3 dreams. I can't remember now anyway. But it's probably the third because we had one at the beginning of this as well, though, didn't we? Kind of linked. So this would be the third, I think, Jemima said. There's been any feeling or there's been anything trying to get her or attack her or draw her in some way in the dream? Like there's something else there? Or is it simply... I mean, it's a very difficult thing to perceive in a dream, I suppose. Or is it more just it's information and stuff?
You didn't wake up feeling that it was anything but a dream until you discussed with other people and found out that it was a shared thing. Okay. So yeah, to all intents and purposes, when you woke up, it felt like you'd had a normal dream.
Yeah. So I think I will. Jemima reiterates. Yes, I feel like we're somehow gaining information through this, not that it is a deliberate attack upon us. That's certainly what my experience feels like anyway.
Well, that's all well and good for you, but poor Edmund, look at him. No offense, but you don't look terribly good after having just seen the Ringmaster, and I'm not sure that I would either if I'd seen him in my dreams.
Yes, but that does not mean that he is to blame for what has happened in this circumstance. That just means we are gaining insight upon him. I can understand that would have great impact upon you, Mr. Carter, but it doesn't mean that he was a force within this dream that was acting to give it to you. You may, in fact, be gaining insight that he doesn't want you to gain through these dreams. We don't know.
I'm not sure I can call any of this insight so far, but if we can make any sense of it, and you're right, I hope you are. I hope you are.
So what is in common across these four? Is there anything that we can use now, or dare I say it, do we just bear this in mind?
It's history again. It's always history.
Biblical history in this case.
Ancient history, which perhaps not the same as the history you saw before in your little Scottish village, and it's not quite the same history. But we read things about ancient druidic rituals and things like that at Fingask, and there's some sort of time history connection that we're not quite sure how to pick apart yet. That's going on here. But it's history. We said this just last night. It's all history, and it's history again. We're now dreaming it.
Is it history or is it metaphor?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not sure even many biblical scholars would consider the Old Testament a true history as such.
Well, I'm not sure I can make any more sense of it if it's all metaphor either, to be honest.
Agreed.
Well, 4 plagues. That is what we've had.
Plagues were punishments of some kind.
But there were others, of course, as well that we haven't dreamed.
Everybody just dreamt the one thing.
Does anybody want to make an idea roll?
Sure.
I'm not sure how much Jemima knows about religion, but...
Yeah, so it's based on your religious knowledge. So if you don't think you have very much knowledge of Christianity or the Bible, then probably not one for you. If you think you've got a bit, then you can make an idea roll.
So I did quite well. I got a 12 on the idea roll. I don't think Eliza would know a whole lot herself, but if there's anything that she might have learned from talking to all the people she's been talking to over the last several years, maybe.
I also passed it. I feel like Jemima probably is actually quite interested in theistic history, so if that's okay.
Dana doesn't have much interest, so I don't think he would draw any conclusions.
Okay. You think you've probably seen a 5th plague while you've been on the island. Mrs. McRae's cows.
Oh no. Okay. Jemima's face goes like utterly pale all of a sudden when she's talking about what other plagues are there. It's up to you if Eliza realizes that.
Yeah, I think so. Wait, Mrs. McRae, the livestock.
I think I genuinely grab your wrist when you say that, and like in shock at the realization.
But that wasn't a dream. That was real.
I think sanity rolls again.
Absolutely sanity rolls.
In real life too.
Oh dear. Yeah, 18. Everyone's not having a good day.
I think 2 if you fail and 1 if you pass.
That's 4 already for Edmund today. Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just passed.
Yeah, I passed that as well. Jemima's still like shocked by this. So.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to seeing a proper sunrise right now. They can't, if they become real. This is madness. They can't. Do we think they're going to spread? Do we think they're going to be more? How do we stop this? What's going to happen here? We need that book.
This is much more alarming. I agree.
We need to see if it's spread as well. We were going to go and see Cameron this morning. we need to do that. Maybe something spread over to his and Jimmy's farms now. Maybe it's not just Mrs. McCrae. Or maybe it was. I mean, who knows? But can anybody remember what the other plagues were? What have we had so far? We've had water into blood, darkness, livestock, frogs, and what else? And the storms of fire. What are the other plagues? Locusts and or
there is a Bible in the
Yeah, I'm assuming it's
Yeah.
the Bible. Grab the Bible and start leafing through to the plagues of Egypt.
oh dear.
deaths of firstborns. Death is part of it. That's normally, that was the firstborn sons though. Netta can't be part of another plague, surely.
We should find out whether she was the firstborn. It might be significant. If not, I'm almost more worried.
As far as we know, she was an only child, wasn't she?
Do we know that, Jonny? I don't think we've actually found out.
You haven't been told about any siblings.
Well, I think we need to contact Mary and the Reverend.
Absolutely, as soon as possible.
I think, Jonny, they were in the opposite direction to where we would be going for the farms. Is that right?
They're not very far, though, I don't think.
Yeah, but they're only sort of a minute up the road, so it's not a big trek out the way.
Okay.
Perhaps we ought to go and tell them straight away.
What's going on with the food and things going on in the pub?
First things first.
Are they just gone?
Throughout your conversation, at moments they would have come out of the kitchen and you'd have paused your conversation as they came out, basically. They've dropped in any sort of tea or breakfast that you all asked for during this conversation.
I have a great image of us all sitting around the table and then like having the shocked realization about the cows, and then they come in with like breakfast and we're like calm expressions on face. Yes, the tea's lovely, and then they go back to room with this again. Back to sanity loss, shock face. I think Jemima's like hurrying through breakfast to try and head off then, basically.
Okay. So you finish your drinks and breakfast and get ready and head out.
I will hurriedly thank them for the delicious breakfast, and then before I go, dash upstairs to grab a small glass jar of mysterious powder before I head out.
Eliza's definitely got her gun with her again.
Because that always works out so well.
Always, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's been a pretty good shot so far. Just not always.
Spoilers. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I should have seen that bit, but
yes, I think Edmund. If Edmund catches sight of the firearm, he'll be a little bit do a double take and a sort of resigned sigh, I think.
I'm not sure what this can do against plagues, but frankly, it makes me feel a little safer. It's like having Albert with us again.
Oh, yes. Pause for a brief reminisce.
Minute silence.
So you head up the road. The sun is just creeping over the horizon now, you get to the door of where the Reverend and Mary are staying.
I think even though Jemima only had one sanity loss, she's been rushing ahead, and she actually just pushes on the door before knocking to see if it's just open.
Are you turning the handle as well?
Yeah, I was just going to turn the handle.
Yeah.
Step in.
It opens. They've obviously unlocked the door.
Okay. Are they there as soon as I open the door?
Yes, they are sat around that table that's in the sort of working area, each with a cup of tea, and the fire's lit.
I'm like holding the Old Testament open on the page when I open the door. I just I come straight next to them. I sit down, I point at the book, and I go, Sorry, I should have knocked, and then I don't even wait for a reply and just point out the plagues of Egypt.
We all had dreams. We all had dreams that relate to the plagues of Egypt, and also Mrs. McRae's cows, we think, are another embodiment of these. There's something biblical about all of this.
We've had famine. We've had a plague of toads. We've had the sun. We've had blood, water turning to blood, and what was the other one?
Hail.
Of course,
believe.
storm. Yes.
I take it you didn't dream anything last night.
Did you dream anything connected with this? Pharaohs, ancient cities.
And Edmund saw the ringmaster.
Yes.
As you asked about if they'd had dreams, John and Mary kind of looked at each other to see whether either of them had had a dream of that sort. And then when you mentioned the ringmaster, Mary kind of turned with wide eyes to look at you. What you saw him? What do you mean you saw him?
I saw a pharaoh. In my dream, I saw a pharaoh, and then I realized as I woke that appearance was one that I'd seen when I looked through the lens back at the circus. One of many, certainly, but I can't forget it. Of all of those shifting shapes, yes, one of those was this pharaoh.
And we think these plagues are somehow becoming real, or that they're actually happening now here on the island, not just in our dreams. Like we said, Mrs. McRae's cows, they're suffering. The livestock, that was another plague, wasn't it? The death of the livestock.
Indeed.
Aye, it was.
Do we know if Netta was a firstborn of her family?
Well, she was an only child, so
Yes.
I suppose so.
Not a son, of course.
Are there any other children on this island?
I
A
would
few.
imagine so.
Don't know whether getting them off the island would be any good or not, but whether anyone would even listen to us,
That would certainly raise alarm.
it would.
There's still, unless there's something we don't know about, there's boils, locusts, wild animals.
Well, we've seen those before, but surely that's not connected to all of this now. There were lions and other sort of creatures that came at us at Fingask.
I can't imagine that there's 5 years between then and now. I can't believe it's part of the same event.
So I'm to take it that neither of you did dream of anything like this.
No.
Why is it that we are so connected and no one else seems to be?
Is there any meaning to the order of these? You've got the Bible there, Jemima. The order of the plagues. We jump around, don't we? These haven't. Well, unless we've missed things, these aren't proceeding in a particular order.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to Google the order of the plagues in the Bible.
The others are not here, though.
John Moore says, from what you've said, they're not in order. Although Miss Smith, the one that you have described, is the second to last. So if everything has been done up to this point, then the death of the firstborns would be next, but it does seem that there are some that are missing, so perhaps the order is random.
We may not have found them, though.
The others who are not here, maybe they've had these wherever they are.
possible.
There's
Although
only the four of us here.
Or maybe other people on the island and they just have no idea what it all is. They just think it's a dream. They've never experienced.
it seems to be connected to us who are drawn to these places, though. Just like last time. But I spent so much time contemplating what linked us all before. Dane, you remember? But at that time, it was, and I gesture at the Reverend, it was that you drew those symbols on our doors. That was, more than anything else, what separated us from what was going on in the village and allowed us to see it all. But this time, I'm sure you don't know of anything anyway, but there's nothing I know of that makes us all...
Our connection...
venue? Yes, precisely.
Our connection with Fingask is perhaps a little more worrying. We were all given a letter and invited up by some mysterious stranger. The thing that linked us all, compared with those who didn't show up, who received a letter, was curiosity. That was the same thing that drew Netta here. It's the same thing that drew us all here again.
Indeed.
Perhaps it is an openness of some kind.
There are pieces to this puzzle that we haven't found. I think that much is clear.
Forgive my lack of knowledge. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What the plagues were a form of punishment, but for what and why? Why did they stop? What was the? Is there anything that we need to learn from why they happened? What had been done wrong? What we should do now? I'm kind of directing this at the Reverend.
Well, the plagues were to force the Pharaoh's hand to free God's people. And they stopped when he freed them.
They would.
I can't see how that.
Yeah.
I can't see how that would link to this.
An angry god certainly sounds fitting, though.
It was power. It was proof of what he could do. It was threat. That fits.
So these are warnings. Simple as that, perhaps.
Maybe.
This sounds like a crazy thing to say, but the only other peoples we have in any way considered so far, which have come up multiple times, are the fairies. Or, as Dion described them, the green ray elementals. Odd turn of phrase. I wonder how that could link to this, possibly.
Oh, yes. We spoke to Miss Fortune. Well, rather, Jemima did after you left yesterday evening.
Oh, sorry. Yes. It was. Yes, she was not. She didn't seem to know of Netta's death, but equally she didn't seem surprised by it. I gave a false name and tried not to give any information across that we were investigating it. Got a little from her. She was very worried. Netta had gone too far with something. I guess we could probably have guessed that already.
Yeah, she did say that she was no longer friends with Netta, that she had felt the need to put some distance between them. Is that right?
Yes, she had a fear for what was going on. And as I mentioned, these green ray elementals, that was how she described the fairies that Netta was hunting. A very specific, almost scientific sounding word to me. Odd turn of phrase.
It certainly implies some sort of study of them beyond reading them as fairy tales.
Precisely.
Well, perhaps Dion has come to her senses and moved away from the group, and that's why she's no longer associating with Netta. We don't have any up-to-date information to suggest that she is still a part of the group, so perhaps that's what's occurred. I shall try and call her later in a somewhat official capacity, and inform her of Netta's current whereabouts and what any plans going forward might be in case she wants to be a part of any funeral
So,
for
that
her
sounds
friend.
good.
And I'll see if I can get any more information out of her.
I'd be curious if she mentions that I called as well. I gave my name as Miss Livingston.
Very good. I'll leave the call to her for a little later, and I still need to chase up on Mr. Rowlett.
No problem.
And we needed to investigate what had happened with the police and the missing knife or the withheld information about the knife. Is that something that you were wanting to pursue, Mary, in your official capacity?
Yes, I'll make these calls first of all, and then I'll make my way to the police station and have a quiet word in an ear, I think.
Is that where the body would be kept, at the station?
I believe so.
All right.
I'll try and gain legitimate access first of all, before considering other avenues. I can be quite resourceful.
I'm sure you can.
Best of luck with that then.
Well, we need to speak to Cameron, and I think we need to have a look for these fairies. I think we need to have a little look around the lock again.
Yes, Green Ray Elemental. It keeps going through my mind. I wonder if it helps us at all.
There's a lot to do and not a lot of time.
Jonny,
Anyone have a particular preference?
Sorry. I was just thinking, it occurred to me and presumably Jemima, since I'm playing Jemima. Weird link. The light we had on the light in the dream of the first night, was it green or anything to do with it? Or was it just a green hill? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we saw a green ray, or flash kind of go across the sky and land in the hill.
Case, maybe that link was made last session, but it's either gone out of my head or Jemima's head, maybe both. So Jemima goes, oh, the first dream that we all shared was more just colours and lights, wasn't it? But the light was green.
It must be connected.
Elementals she referred to.
And did it not transform the hill somehow? Was there?
It did, didn't it? When it touched the hill.
And don't forget the cross there, of course.
I think the green ray became the hillock, and then the cross lowered itself onto the hillock and withered to black. It all became tarnished in the way that we've seen other things now being tarnished. Something like that. It's all a little vague.
As this conversation continues, I desperately want to go and explore the site again. Shall we get going if people are happy to? Sorry, I don't mean to rush us.
No, not at all. We'll pass the site in any case on our way to see the farm, so I think that's a good idea.
Jemima is standing up.
Very good. We'll be here for most of the day if we're not at the station, so feel free to pop back in at any point and update us.
She's out the door, I think. This is just too thrilling now. It's terrible.
Yeah, following quickly out as well.
I think as maybe Eliza catches up first, I say to Eliza, do you know the ferry times offhand? I should have checked when I was there. I was going to see if the vets were heading over as well. That's something that might be interesting too.
Not the specific times. I think it was morning, noon, afternoon, and evening. But I'm not quite sure exactly when.
We could maybe pop in while we're on the way by and check if they know if the vet is due over today.
Yes.
Is the ferry nearby, Jonny?
Yeah, you kind of pass the way down to it as you would be going back over the other side of the village.
In that case, Dane Edmund will see Jemima dashing off down there first on the way. Quickly.
Dane will kind of follow close behind.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone at the ferry? There's a little hut there, wasn't there, or something?
Yeah, so there's not anybody there currently, but you can see it. It's quite a way away in the water, and you can't really tell from here in which direction it's going. So it may have just been here and be going back, or it may be on its way here. You can't really tell. You are welcome to wait, obviously, and see if you can figure out which direction it's going in.
Jemima does not even consider that idea.
Presumably there'll be some sort of notice.
Yeah,
or...
is there not a timetable or something instead, so I could see what?
Yes. Yeah. You are currently at around 8:15. It looks like it should get here at 9.
Okay, so it's presumably going out now and is going to be heading back again. Okay, but there's nowhere we could get to in that shorter time. Get to and get back in that shorter time, probably. So I could leave a note, I suppose. I say to everyone, but I don't know how that would help us. There's no way they could get in touch. Presumably, the vet will want to head straight to Mrs. McRae.
Well, we wanted to check in on her anyway, so perhaps if we check in on her later today, we can just ask her. There's not much more we can do to hurry it along. If he's here, he's here, and if he's not, he's not.
Yes.
You could also, if you wanted, leave a note with the phone number for the Argyle and tell them to leave a message, and then you could stop at the Argyle to check if there was a message left for you, if you wanted to do. You would be aware that was something you could do.
The Argyle and the ferry are sufficiently close that it seems almost pointless. Do you see what I mean? Since they're in the kind of same village, aren't they? So I think if we could just pop back here and see, it's not really worth leaving a note. I think Jemima probably starts writing and scribbles it out partway through. Okay, we'll just catch Mrs. McRae or whatever. Let's go.
All right, so I guess heading to the lock first on the way. Yeah, cool. Yep.
So that low mist is still here, but the sun is kind of, you can see the kind of shimmering of the sun through the mist. But you are working at probably something like 30 feet of decent visibility. So there is still a reasonable amount of mist around currently. And you head along the path towards the lock. And here's a map I made earlier.
We must be nearing sunrise by, well, maybe not quite yet, but if it's about 8:15, we won't be. It'll be close enough to sunrise that we should see if the sun is coming, right?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. The sun has risen. You can see like the shimmering of the sun through the mist. So yeah, you head kind of up the ridge that you headed up last time, and then down towards the loch. And you continue along the path to roughly where you think you headed off the path previously to get to the site of where Netta was found. And it takes you a little longer than it did last time because you can't see very well, but you do eventually manage to find the sort of mound.
I think Jemima will, as she is approaching the mound, unless anything looks drastically different, which presumably doesn't, she will get that jar of powder that she hasn't yet shown anyone because she got it in her room out, and start to kind of just look at it and look at the mound and have a little bit of a think.
Jemima, aren't you some sort of scientist of watery things? Do we want to get a closer look at the lock and see if there's anything funny going on in there?
Just one moment, and I kind of dip my fingers into the powder. What is it? Is it just completely normal powder, Jonny? Or is there anything funny about it?
In terms of what, like,
is it just like normal?
Feel?
Yeah, exactly.
No, look and feel is relatively normal powder.
Okay, cool. What color is it?
A sort of light bluey grey.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I get like a significant pinch of it and get quite close to the cross, and then kind of throw it in the air as much to spread it over the cross and that area of the side of the mound as I can, and see what I can see.
The as it kind of, you see it sort of filter down through the mist and touch the floor, and each of the granules that land on the cross shape that's cut into the grass kind of almost like a tiny flame. It doesn't do that when it lands anywhere. It doesn't do that when it lands anywhere else.
Edmund will be watching with distinct interest and some degree of confusion, I think. What? What's, might I ask? Sorry. What is that? What are you doing?
It actually works. I haven't had a chance to test it yet. It's not really testable in any repeatable situations, is it? It's powder of Ibn Ghazi I discovered while doing my readings. Rather a difficult thing to make. It took me quite a while to, well, produce anything of the sort.
Is this something we should be playing with?
Is any of this something we should be playing with, Dane? I gesture around.
Do you understand it? What is it?
What worked? What do you mean?
Not precisely. Look, let me explain. This powder it's supposed to reveal things that go unseen. It's supposed to show things in their true form, in a way that we cannot otherwise perceive with our own eyes in normal circumstances. I'm sure, particularly Mr. Carter will appreciate this, but all of you know, it's not a clear, straight answer. I can't read the book and it tells me how it works and what it does, but I have been led to believe that, as an extreme example, if you were to throw this material over that person you called a ringmaster, or that thing, you would see whatever it really were.
I cannot recommend that.
But we basically had something that did that. We had the magnifying glass. That must have been... Can you turn a powder like this into glass? Can we create a lens?
I don't know how it works. I doubt I could do that in any way myself. But, I mean, nonetheless, look, it has worked here. And so you said like flames. Is the powder not settling at all on that space of the cross? Is it almost like it evaporates into fire and disappears, or is it still there in any real way?
It still is there after you see what you see.
Okay, cool. So it was almost.
So it's not like the powder itself is setting a light. It's almost like you're seeing something there.
Exactly. So in this case, Jemima will say. So it looks like in this case, what we see here is what is going unseen is a fire or something like the cross. This space of the cross itself was or is in some way burning.
Does Jemima sort of drop it from a low, kind of kneeling down and just putting a little bit over?
No, from standing, I threw it like that, kind of right over the area. It's quite. I think the cross is fairly large, like obviously the size of Netta at least. So
did it? It's a question for Jonny. Maybe did it kind of spark as it came into the? How to describe this? Like the vertical axis of the cross, kind of sticking up. It then, as if there was a fire coming out of the cross, and it recognized it kind of higher up, or was it just as it got closer?
It was slightly before it hit the floor. It wasn't like head height.
Okay.
But it wasn't like it hit the floor and then you saw something. It was sort of slightly above the...
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So whatever burning or fire this was clearly wasn't ordinary. This powder wouldn't show that up. Perhaps it's still burning in some way. I don't know exactly.
We ought to be very careful. When we had the lens before, we could interact with things as though they were real, when we could see them as they truly were. If there is actually a fire here and we're throwing this powder around and it sort of becomes real for us, it could burn us. We should be careful.
The body was right on here, right?
From Jemima's reading of the spell / recipe for the powder, the effects last a maximum of 10 heartbeats.
So presumably it's worn off a while before, basically the beginning of this conversation. Sure. But that would not be what I wouldn't expect. In fact, if it does seem to wear off quite quickly, I will be even more happy because and you see it lasted about how it was supposed to last. It truly has worked. It's proof. I think I'm probably making a little scrawled note now in the damp air.
Is this sounds ridiculous. Is fairy fire a thing? Is that does that ring any bells with people? Are there any myths of? Was this cross cut with some sort of magical flame?
I mean, I've heard of fairy dust, Peter Pan and things like that, but not fairy flame. That doesn't ring any bells for me.
Jemima, how much of this powder do you have?
I lift the jar, a fairly small jar.
Can I try something?
Yes, obviously. Don't waste it, of course.
So Dane is gonna have a kind of coin from his pocket, just something metallic, and drizzle a bit of the powder on top of the coin, and then just lower it into the cross and see if anything happens.
Ooh.
Okay. So, as you get down to about the point where you saw the flames previously, the same kind of appears sort of almost above the coin, because that's where the dust is, right? The powder. And then a couple of seconds later, it kind of disappears. The coin is untarnished.
Interesting.
Oh, there we go. I thought it was a long shot.
Very, very interesting idea, though.
It was worth a
Mr.
try. I
Harrow.
agree. Very much so. I must admit, now you point that out to me, I would rather like to... You don't have those earrings on you, do you, Miss Smith? We left them at the cottage.
They're with Mary and the Reverend.
I wonder if they're burning in this way as well, perhaps.
We should certainly try it.
So the body was right here, right?
True. On the cross. As far as we've been told.
Jonny, there are other hillocks. There's lots of little hillocks around this area, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I still wonder what it is about this spot in particular. If we did see a green light, and if that green light we all saw in our dreams was a green ray elemental, and it turned into this hillock, perhaps these hills are the fairies in some way. Perhaps, I mean, I don't really know what that would mean or signify. But it feels like there's something about this place.
It does. About this place, very much so.
What about the lock? That was the interest of... That was what Netta was interested in. The lock was where she thought the fairies would be. Is there anything else we can explore here, or do we want to go a little closer to the water?
Yes, let's go look at the lock. I don't think we're going to be able to get anything else from here.
Brilliant find, though, Jemima. Brilliant.
I'm overjoyed that it seems to do what I'd hoped.
So you head towards the lock. You're still at about 30 feet visibility. So you come up to the sort of the shore. You've got a gentle lapping of the waters against the kind of stone shore. there's nothing really to see.
I would like to make a good old biology roll for assessing the freshwater
Yeah,
situation
sure.
of this loch.
Yeah.
Probably takes a moment for Jemima to recover from the excitement of the previous thing. So maybe there's a fair bit of time of just sitting by the edge of the loch.
Are you doing any actual sort of testing? Do you have your stuff with you, do you think?
I feel like I might have little things like litmus paper and things like that with me,
Okay.
small scientific things that I could
Yeah.
do. Maybe I probably taste the loch as well, for example.
Of course you
A few
do.
other things. Have a little look, maybe pull out some little bits of weed or macrophytes or algae and things that are in there. See what I can find. I might try and like scoop up a few bugs. Probably
Yeah.
with a magnifying glass. Just little things like that. And I have 95 and I rolled 19, so yeah, we're all good. I'll tick it. I guess.
Cool. Yeah. So everything's basically as you would expect. The correct pH. No bugs look to have extra eyes or legs than you would expect them to have. It tastes
frogs?
pretty fresh.
Yeah, frogs. Any frogs? That would definitely make me go for a moment.
You have not seen any frogs yet. But yeah, it all seems to be as you would expect a freshwater loch to be.
Yeah, okay. I guess I will eventually just say, don't know what I was expecting, but it is not in any way unusual. Quite lovely, in fact.
Perhaps you have to be in one of these trances or something like Netta was doing to make this magical.
Well, precisely, but it could well be that the loch itself is perfectly ordinary, but there's something that uses it or lives near it or something like that.
Would it be mad to go for a swim? It's far too cold, really, isn't it?
Well, I mean, other than the chill, it's a very good place for one. After you.
Or maybe dip my finger in and see how cold it feels. If it does feel too cold for swimming, really. I mean, it's December.
You think if you had a house on the edge of it and a warm towel nearby, it would probably be fine. But you think walking for any distance afterwards, still being cold and wet, it would probably not be good for you.
It's a magical fire on a cross nearby. It'll be fine. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Perhaps a little chilly in hindsight. But I wonder
just going to
whether
absentmindedly skip a stone across the water.
Make a luck roll.
I kind of want to see how that goes too.
Yeah, it skips just slightly too far for comfort.
If you would do a massive fail, does it just hit the back of one of our heads when you throw it?
Yeah, I killed one of the characters. 87, and as we know, if we watched previous episodes, Dane doesn't have a lot of luck left at the moment.
Straight in with a massive clunk.
Sploosh.
Yeah.
Dane's going to go a little bit red and then just going to come back to the group. It's a bit cold for it, I think.
Well, I'm at a loss of what else we might discover here. Scientists between you, any other ideas?
The only other inclination I have is to try and get up to some of the taller hills around here and see if it jogs our memory from anything from our dreams, or if we see anything else unusual, given that it seems to be something to do with the top of a hill, maybe not all these small hillocks, but it's a long shot at this point, I think. I can't think of anything else.
With these fairies element, sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to say, given the current weather, you wouldn't do that now.
Yes, maybe later on in the day when the mist is burnt off.
Yes, we want to have the view as well, I suppose, for while we're up there.
With the elementals, the fairies, I guess we're unlikely to just come across them, right? Otherwise, I suppose everybody would. Is there anything in your reading, or is it time of day, or what do people need to do to encounter these things?
Miss Smith, you read the book in more detail than any of us did. You remember anything?
Jonny, I mean, obviously we mostly focused on the prophecy stuff last time, but was there anything else about the fairies more generally, or was it all just kind of general fluff of fairy tales and?
Yeah, nothing really about methods. The only thing that you as a group have to go on really is knowing that Netta was often in a trance. So perhaps that is what you would do to contact them, perhaps some kind of trance state. What that would entail, though, you don't know. That's just yeah.
The only thing I can think of is that Netta obviously had some theories and had some measure of success. But I don't know what she was doing to get into these trance states. I don't know whether she just tried to clear her mind. And I mean, you've said several times now, Jemima, that perhaps we're just more open to this. Perhaps we have some sort of connection. Maybe we just need to try and connect to it in some way. Maybe she was doing some druidic ritual and got naked deliberately as a way of connecting with them. Maybe that's all part of it as well. Who knows?
It does seem like of all people who are on this island now, we are perhaps best placed to try and replicate it. True.
Well, how, I don't know, but all I can think of is trying to sit and calmly think and connect.
We need to know more about Netta for that. I don't know where else we're going to be able to get it. We could talk to Miss McRae a little more, I suppose. I don't know. We'll have to see.
I wonder whether Mary has any further knowledge of the materials that this Golden Dawn organization might have spent time reading. Failing that, I don't know. We could, midnight is nominally a time of ritual significance. Maybe, I don't know.
This is whatever access there is. It seems to affect us most strongly when we're asleep.
I mean, we could
just a camping trip, but
yeah, it's a long shot, but
let us consider it further. Perhaps
the only other thing
might be other options if we haven't found anything more out, I suppose.
Jemima, you saw more of the book than we got a chance to. There was something about summoning in there. Obviously, we've just assumed that was summoning the ringmaster, but perhaps there's a way of summoning fairies. There's some sort of connection there as well, especially if her order did have access to this book.
I feel like Jemima probably doesn't remember much more about the summoning other than it was summoning of some other being. Is that correct, Jonny? Don't think there was much I got from that, though.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, it was just a summoning or calling of something.
Something from another place.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, Jemima like that. Sorry, the section that I read in any detail did not talk about summoning. I only caught it in glancing. Summoning of something from another place is the best I can say, sadly. Nothing about how to do it or how it works.
I think there are particular... I hesitate to use the word spells, but I think there are particular methods for summoning different entities. So one would have to be quite careful and quite specific, and they bear significant risk. I think.
Was the ringmaster summoned to whatever?
I don't know. I think there was something in that book that could have done that. Yes. When
we found the book, that was the page it was open to. Was some sort of summoning magics. So perhaps we were overly presumptuous, but we certainly assumed that related to the ringmaster, and that Sir John had somehow summoned him or found him through the use of this book. We certainly didn't encounter anything else that we thought was otherworldly.
Well, there were the buzzing, the creature, Sir John talking on the first night to the weird insect noises. I believe that was also something from the book.
So do you think that the ringmaster was already here and Sir John summoned the insect creature? I thought they maybe came together somehow.
Well, I guess when George Smith entered the picture is when that my belief is that the moment George Smith appeared on the scene was the moment that the ringmaster was in our world. I don't know what caused it. I don't know whether. Anyway, that's that time is long gone.
The day's drawing on. Shall we move on from here? I don't think there's much.
Yes,
more
we need more information, I think, to work with.
To the farms?
Sounds good. What was the other? What was the name of the other farmer we hadn't spoken with yet?
Cameron
Cameron
Ferguson.
Ferguson.
Yeah, so you're heading to the Ferguson farm, so pretty much directly due west from where you are. So it takes you probably 20 minutes to get there from the loch. And the mist has lifted slightly, but not completely by the time you get there. And you hear the sound of a young boy playing outside as you approach the farm. You kind of reach essentially the front door, and it sounds like the playing is going on behind the building.
And there's nothing untoward in terms of sounds, or there's nice, healthy, happy farmyard sounds, birds singing, that sort of
Happy
Yeah,
place.
all at the normal speed and pitch that you would expect.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, can somebody else go knock on the door? I don't think I can talk much more about cows without looking a complete idiot.
Sort of look at the others and look at Dane. And
I did the last one.
I made the phone call.
Mr. Carter.
Go on, Edmund, you're up.
I guess I'll walk towards the door then, and knock on it several times.
Yep, you hear some movement behind the door, and then the door swings open, and there's a sort of bearded, shaggy-haired man who says, "Good morning. Can I help you?"
I hope so. Apologies for the unexpected interruption. My name is Edmund Carter. These are my colleagues. We've come to talk, if we may, about the situation regarding the girl Netta that you found a few days ago.
Yes.
I'm sorry to bring it up again, but
it's okay. It's very sad. Have you spoken to Jimmy as well?
yes, we spoke. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure what I can tell you that he hasn't already said, but sure. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer.
Really, it was yes. Jimmy was very helpful in. There were things that he'd noticed that that had been missed previously. So another point of view was always beneficial. Could you could you just give us a quick rundown of what you found when you found her?
Of course.
And maybe the time of day and anything unusual, anything that just struck you as being out of the ordinary, beyond the main situation itself.
Yeah, we were out looking for the girl, and Jimmy spotted her first, lying there, and we went up. It honestly didn't look like anything had happened to her. She was just there. No signs of any struggle, no injuries that we could see at a glance. But a knife on the floor, fancy looking thing. Like the kind of thing a church would have if they had knives. That kind of fancy thing.
Have you ever seen anything like that before on the island?
No.
And can you remember anything about the anything that you could describe to help us recognize that sort of object? What was it made out of? Can you?
Well, the blade was. Well, it kind of looked to me like it must have been silver because it had gone, tarnished. Maybe it was very old. The handle, maybe bone, carved. I couldn't. I couldn't describe a particular pattern on it. To be honest, we didn't get a close look. Obviously, we wanted to kind of leave everything as it was for when people came to investigate. We didn't want to have moved anything.
And were you there? Were you still there at the site when the police turned up?
I went to get them, and Jimmy stayed.
Can you remember? Can you remember what happened to the knife? Did the police take it with them?
We left before they went back, but I'm sure they must have done. I mean, you would, wouldn't you?
Of course. Of course.
How was she laying when you found her?
Just, she looked, I don't know, sort of relaxed on her back.
In the mark on the ground.
Aye.
When we say she was lying on the mark on the ground, was she laid across it like a crucifix?
I suppose, aye.
And you said that you and Jimmy, you went and got called for the police, and then you returned, found Jimmy still there, and left before the police arrived.
Before the police were done,
Right.
we left.
Of course. And did they ask you many questions? Or have they spoken to you again since?
No, they haven't come and seen us since. They just asked us, what had happened. Obviously, everybody had been out looking for the girl, so sort of the the circumstances surrounding her disappearance were kind of known to people, so I suppose there weren't that many questions for them to ask us other than specifically what we'd seen, which was kind of exactly what we've just told you, I suppose.
You haven't had any problems with your cows at all, have you, by any chance? If you have cows, that is. Sorry.
No problem.
Good.
The phone rings, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, just a moment."
Of course.
Kind of pushes the door to and disappears into the house for a moment.
Can maybe do like a psychology roll or something just to kind of get a sense of, or whatever would be appropriate, of how he seems. Like, did he? Yeah. Not very good at this, but let's see. Oh no.
100% above board.
Could I use some luck? Would I want to use some luck?
You have to spend to get all the way down, though, if it's a long way from your check.
It'd be 12 points of luck. Is it worth 12 points? I've not used much luck. I'm going to spend some luck.
Okay.
That's how we get you.
100% above board.
I have a lot of confidence in that man.
you don't have any reason to suspect that he's not telling you the truth.
Did he seem like he didn't seem very shaken by any of this news? It was kind of like Jimmy. He seemed quite matter of fact about it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's bothered him. Like when you said that was what you were here to talk about, his demeanor kind of slumped a little. But he's certainly not crying about it. He's something that's bothered him, but it's not personal to him. So you hear the kind of mumbling of a conversation in the background, and then he comes back to the door and says, are you with the politician Brown, Mrs. Brown?
We are, yes.
She's just called and asked me to let you know that there's something at the McCree farm to see.
Well, thank you for the message. I guess I'll look at the others and.
So, sorry, Mr. Ferguson. Obviously, your farm here is right next to Jimmy's. We did call on Jimmy yesterday evening. Did he mention that we'd spoken to him at all? Have you seen him since then?
No, I saw him heading past yesterday evening, but I haven't spoken to him.
Right. Well, I suppose we'd best get on then. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. I'm sorry. I'd have invited you in, but my boy's got lice. Don't want to.
Sorry. What did you say?
My boy's got head lice.
Has that been going around the island a bit? Or?
Well, I think these things go around children, don't they? Schools.
It can be quite common, yes. And I'll just look at Eliza.
We should be off, I think. Then thank you for your time.
If anything does happen if anything crops up, we're staying at the Argyle Hotel. If you need to get in touch with us. But I hope you have a peaceful day. We should be off, I guess. Thank you.
Hi. If anybody looks behind them as you're walking away, he's just kind of stood at the door, looking quizzically. And,
That's
in your
fine.
direction.
Jemima pointedly does not look back.
Never look back.
No,
Never look back.
It's always forward. Although
That's
I
Like,
definitely,
definitely looks back. I'm kidding.
I definitely do say lice.
It could be. It
Yes.
could. It could
Is that one of them?
just
How
be
could it
lice.
not? How could it not be connected?
Oh, good lord.
It's one child.
Well,
We got-
it was one cow, and then it was another, and then it was another.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm worried about Mrs. McRae. We said we were going to check in on her anyway. Jimmy went to see her yesterday. Has
We
something
should go there now.
Let's hurry back. I mean, we're walking.
briskly.
Yes, briskly at this point.
Okay. So, are you going to go back through the village, or are you going to kind of try and cut a shortcut without going through the village?
We kind of passed by the cottage that Mary and the Reverend are staying at, wouldn't we? Or would there be a shortcut?
Yes, yeah, if you were going through the village, but you're kind of, it's just you're kind of, so you could try, and if you wanted to cut a straight line, because you have this map, so it's up to you. You're not sure whether you'd hit some uneven ground along that way, or whether it would be easy going.
I think Dane would be inclined to go straight, but if the group didn't seem comfortable,
I suspect if Dane is just leading the way doing that, we'll follow Dane.
Yeah.
Let's rush there.
Okay.
so yeah, I guess we'll try and just cut a sensible route through.
And as long as there are no bogs or quicksand or
Matt, would you make me a survival roll?
Yes,
I think it's probably sensible.
So I got a 60 here. So let's see. Rolled an 8, so we're good.
Nice. You with Dane leading, you cut a pretty easy path through. There are a couple of bits that look like they're going to be a little sketchy, but Dane manages to find a decent way through some areas, and you're pretty certain, adding up sort of the time it would have taken you to get from the Ferguson farm back to the village and back to the McRae farm, by adding up your multiple trips that you've done over the course of the past couple of days. You're pretty certain you've done it in about half the time. So you get to the McRae farm, and there is no sign on the door this time saying, "I'm in the barn."
Immediately knock on the door if we've been hurrying there.
Yeah. You hear a speedy shuffling inside, and a sort of rather harried-looking Mrs. McRae opens the door and says, "Oh, please, come in, come in."
Is everything all right?
Yes, I've just, I probably should have given this to the police, but I suppose an MP is, better. I don't know, not better, but maybe more important. I don't know.
You've done the right thing. You've done the right thing.
Okay. She hands over a sort of a small journal to whoever is sort of there ready to receive a small journal. And
I feel like it's probably Eliza and Jemima both trying to grab it. At the front.
She says, I found this in one of my fields. That's why the police don't have it. I think it's one of Neta's diaries. Her last one.
Gosh.
I am opening it and looking.
Do the police have other diaries?
They have anything that she had. So she may have been keeping other ones. This one only has 4 days in, but it's the most recent 4 days.
Where did you find it? Was it close to the farm?
Quite close. I presume that she dropped it when she went out for the last time.
I see.
And there was nothing conspicuous about where it was?
Not at all. It was just there.
You absolutely did the right thing, Mrs. McRae.
Thank you.
What does it say, Johnny?
John, can you put the first one on, please? Wednesday, the 13th of November.
13th of November.
A trip out to near the lock again today. I really feel the energy is starting to coalesce there. I'm sure I'll be able to contact something soon. I hope one day to be able to bring people here to make their spirits whole again. There has been so much pain and loss, the war and everything. I just want to help people. Dion was worried that using the book would only bring suffering, but I feel it can be used for good, especially with the energies here on the island. I will go out again tomorrow and hope I get closer to a meaningful outcome. Is Jemima reading this?
Yeah, I think Jemima reads that. And is
she reading it out loud, or
Eliza's reading
Miss-
over your shoulder as well, for sure.
is Mrs. McRae right there?
She has sat down at the table after having given you the book.
Okay, she's still close enough. Then there's also the fact that Mrs. McRae could just have read it, might have just have read it. So I don't think I will read the whole thing out loud, but I might just say certain parts that will mean things to people. They're probably all looking at it a bit as well, so I'll highlight things like the book, using the book, and she's trying to use the book for good. So that's what Jemima will say, and I will just look pointedly at everyone when I say the book.
Okay. Yeah, can we have Thursday the 14th of November, please, John? I fear I may have seen too much. Through the veil, as they say. I wish that Dion were here. She always knew how to fix these things when I strayed a little too far, but it seems all of this is a stretch even for her. I valued our friendship more than she could ever know. I will be meeting a contact tomorrow who will hopefully be able to shed some more light on what is going on. They have some knowledge of the book, so may be able to help me.
Someone else knew of it.
A third party.
They were here. Maybe they still are.
I think Eliza will flip the page or whatever that she needs to. Discuss it later.
Next one, please, John. Friday the 15th of November. I have seen it, the Demon Sultan. It could destroy everything on a whim, and I think it saw me too. I must leave here. The veil is too thin. If I stay, well, I can't stay. But outside there are things. Anyone reading this will no doubt think I've gone mad, but I know if I go outside now, I am done for. I must leave tomorrow when it's light. He helped me to see, but I wish I could take it back. And now he has the book.
Oh boy.
I don't think Jemima says
Steve, can you make an idea roll for Edmund, please?
I get 39 out of 85, I think. So, yes.
Cool. You think in the book, I think it was you that had it. I'm now doubting myself. The book with the poetry book, Azathoth and Others. Was that
Oh,
you?
no, that was not me.
Oh,
No.
was that Jemima?
Yeah, that's one of mine.
Sorry, Sam, can you make an idea roll for Jemima?
Oh, no, that's going to be
Sorry,
cool if I fail.
Don't fail
that
it
was
now.
my mistake.
What's my idea? I think mine's 75. So, yes, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, you think in the book Azathoth and Others, there is a reference in the poem Azathoth to a demon sultan.
Okay. I don't say anything at this moment.
And finally, Saturday the 16th of November, please, John. It's useless. There's nothing we can do. God help me. God help us all.
So Mrs.
Wow.
McRae is still sitting down there on the seat, correct? Or have you
Yep.
all been quietly muttering about this book?
How does she look?
Upset.
Mrs. McRae, have you read these passages?
This could shed some light on what happened.
What do you make of it? Does it mean anything? And does it bear any resemblance to anything else she said while she was still here with you? What does it mean to you?
Well, the poor girl had obviously gone mad, hadn't she? Just maybe I could have done more to help her. I don't know.
It's not your
You-
fault.
You don't happen to know who she might have met, do you? Or that the day when she says that yes, she said she met with somebody. Which day was that? Sorry, was that the 14th or the 15th?
15th, I think she was going to meet. The 14th is when she said she was going to.
Right, so somewhere between the 14th and the 15th. I
And the
guess.
logic of the thing suggests that the person she met was, I've seen him. So
Yes. So Friday the 15th. Do you happen to know where she might have gone on Friday the 15th?
I never knew where Netta went. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
she was out during the day, in the evening. Do you remember by any chance?
I think she went out around lunchtime and went out again later in the day.
Okay, thank you.
Do you remember her other journals that were given to the police? Do you remember if there were any other passages similar to this? Was there anything else that you'd seen?
I didn't see anything in anything else of Netta's possessions.
Well, it seems like she was a kind-hearted girl, and I'm sure you did your best to look after her and give her a safe space. It's not your fault, Mrs. McRae.
How are your cattle, by the way? Have any others been afflicted by?
I don't think so.
Good. I was going to say, because I think the vet is due to come soon. We were hoping to catch up with them when they made it here, but haven't heard anything more.
Has there been anything else unusual, Mrs. McRae, or anything else upsetting or disturbing to you? Even if it's just a bad night's sleep?
No, just this.
We spoke to Jimmy last night. He said he was going to check in on you. Did he come by?
He did.
Good.
He's a kind man. Kind man.
Well, please let us know if there's anything else we can do. I'm very grateful you spoke to us about this. Hopefully we can shed some light on all strange things that have been going on. Help any way we can.
Yes, we'll do everything we can.
Start to move out of the room.
Yep, you head out.
Cool. I think
We
Jemima,
need to tell Mary.
as soon as she's away, she's immediately like walking. She's like, she met him. She must have done.
Who though? Who?
Sultan, it was called. Sorry, what was the wording of the Sultan thing? The
Sultan
The Demon Sultan.
Demon Sultan. The Demon Sultan. She met with.
Did she meet him, or did she see him after her contact helped her reach out?
Go on, Jonny.
It's worth noting the specific wording. When referring to the Demon Sultan, she uses the word it. Or it seems anyway. She says, I have seen it, the Demon Sultan. It could destroy everything on a whim. And I think it saw me too. and then says, "He helped me to see, but I wish I could take it back." And now he has the book.
Thank you. Okay. So it seems like whoever she met, a man, somehow showed her the creature, the same one that perhaps you've been seeing, and that it referred to it as the Demon Sultan. I've come across that before in one of my books. I want to get back and have another look at that passage now. It's a poem, actually, referred to something as Demon Sultan in there.
The ringmaster could be either. The ringmaster could be he, or it could be it.
Well, they're separate. It could be both, I suppose, but presumably he showed her it.
But perhaps it was the ringmaster who showed her something else. I don't know which way around this goes. We certainly refer to the ringmaster as a he, but he appeared to us as a man.
It seems like whatever this creature is, this thing, it has many forms. I wouldn't say it was too far a stretch to think that it is the Demon Sultan as well as what you saw.
Jonny, is it remotely suspicious to anyone that the two separate threads of the book and then the Netta investigation have kind of joined together? But obviously we've been led on this path towards the Netta investigation, and I suppose part of Dane's brain is he's not going to necessarily mention it, but he's just thinking that this is really odd. Like, they must have known, like Mary and the Reverend must have had some idea that the two were linked, but didn't tell us.
Well, my next question was going to be, do we know when Mary and the Reverend arrived on the island?
We don't, do we? She clearly had the book. Now we know that. Presumably she had the book when she arrived here. How did she get the book? It doesn't seem like she...
Or did she have the book?
Well, she says right here, this book, clearly she believes has some power. I can't imagine it was something else. It can't be coincidence, surely.
So Netta brought the book to the island, and then...
It must be. But I really must know now, as you say, Dane, what brought the Reverend and Mary here.
They must have known she had it.
How
but why would they have withheld that from us?
Well, it says they have knowledge of the book. It doesn't necessarily mean that she had the book with her, does it?
She said she had the book.
Now he has the book. But what if she meant that... it's so easy to make assumptions. It could mean that she had the book. She went to her contact to understand something better, and now he has it. He's taken it from her.
Oh,
perhaps.
I assume it was taken from her, and that was how.
But perhaps she knew of the book. She was using some knowledge of it. In the same way that we've seen it, we have some knowledge of it, and we've tried to apply that in various ways in our stumblings across different mysteries. Perhaps she's had a similar experience. Perhaps she studied it at some point. She's come here and then spoken to a contact who knew more about the book and has discovered that he actually has it. We can't necessarily assume that she was the one who had the book. It sounds like she was really trying to do something good, which doesn't line up with the Golden Dawn, the order that they spoke of. Why would they give her the book if they had access to it? How did she end up with it if she was coming to do some good here on the island?
But she does say, and now he has it, as if to say he didn't before.
Yes, but
she took it. She had it.
But perhaps she's just saying now he has it because it's a contact who she knew before who didn't have it, but now he does.
Perhaps we need to speak to Dion again. It sounds like Dion had some knowledge of what Netta had been up to previously. So
I'm just
perhaps we
saying,
need to ask Dion about the book.
If we went by the cottage and saw the Reverend with the book, we could very easily say, oh, look, now the Reverend has the book. That doesn't mean we gave it to him. That's all I'm saying. That could be Netta's perspective. We don't know.
Hold on a minute. How far are we away from the McRae farm during this discussion? Are we still kind of just outside?
It depends if you've been walking while you've been having this discussion.
I think we were walking.
I was presuming we were kind of walking. So maybe a few hundred meters, don't know.
Can Dane kind of jog back to the farm?
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Knock and knock on the door.
Hello?
Hi, Miss McRae. I'm so sorry to bother you again. Just one last thing. When you informed your MP about this, what did you tell her exactly? Did you say that you found something, or did you tell her what you found? It might seem trivial, but I'm just interested.
I told her I'd found one of Neta's diaries, I think.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Of
Sorry
course.
to bother you again.
No problem.
So Dane will come back and say, "I'm sorry. I'm struggling to make sense of this, but I was a bit concerned about Mary, but she encouraged us here, and she knew what this was. If she was hiding something, I'm sure she wouldn't send us to find this."
The contact was a he. If there's someone suspicious in all of this, it's the Reverend. Of the people we already know, it's the Reverend. Mary informed us. She may not have informed the Reverend. We never know.
I don't think to immediately distrust either of them at all. But there's definitely things that they know that we still don't understand.
It does just feel like such a coincidence.
The other thing we ought to consider, perhaps, is that if she went to meet somebody, is that necessarily a literal person who resides here on the island? Or if she's been reached out to in her mind, she could be referring to a meeting of minds in some way, or fairies or something like that. It might not be a person that we would recognize here.
My reading of those notes was that she hadn't broken through the veil until she had spoken to this individual. My guess, and it is a guess, is that the meeting was physical, and that only then did she manage to pierce the veil and see beyond. So my guess would be that yes, the book is on the island somewhere, and yes, there is a third party.
It's also conspicuous that all of this occurred. She was saying about the night, didn't she?
Yes.
Yes.
That was
Darkness. When we were thinking about that before at the lock, that it seemed. Gosh, I think we even used the terms thinning of the veil about nighttime, midnight hour.
Seems much more, I hesitate to use the word sensible, as it's precisely the opposite. Intriguing that we should perhaps consider a camp out, as Dane suggested.
Well, the pressing question is how we announce this to Mary. Do we have any? I mean, my instinct would be to trust them both, but do we need to test them somehow? Is there a way we can do that without stalling this investigation?
Before anything else, give me the journal quickly. Let me jot down the writings. I think we ought to try and make sure we don't end up losing this information somehow. And I'll write it down.
Before anything else, I think I would like to ask straightforwardly, presumably Reverend arrived here first, exactly when and what drew him here. I think that's a fair question.
Might you want to try your would it be a waste to try your dust on this diary? You don't have a lot, I guess.
I don't suspect that she had any. I don't see why it would be applying to this diary specifically. Perhaps. I would like to try it at a jewelry, though, when we get back to the cottage, too.
I might also stop to take a photo of the journal so we can capture the handwriting and everything as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
For my part, I think Mary and the Reverend suspected that the book might play a part in this this circumstance. I believe that when we talked to them initially, that there was they were a little coy about it, but I think they might have suspected that the book was involved.
I agree. It's far too important. That why would they stay here instead of go to London if they thought it might still be there? I agree completely.
Are we kind of nearing the cottage by this point, Jonny?
Yeah.
Cool. I think it might be another Jemima barging in moment.
Okay. You see a bit of a scene. The Reverend is slumped on the floor at the side of the fireplace, looking drawn and red-faced and tear-streaked. And he looks up as the door opens, and he says, "It was him. He's real, isn't he? The damn music was like a hymn, but wrong. He made me do it. He made me do it. My God, oh my God, what have I done?" And as you look around, you see that there are a set of bloodied footprints coming from the next room into this room. And the Reverend's just got his head in his hands.
I'll walk. I'll follow the footprints.
I'm going to stay fixed at a distance, gun pointing at the Reverend. Ready.
I'm following.
Smith, keep an eye on him. I will join the group going on the footsteps.
Okay. It takes a moment for you to figure out what has happened in here through all the mess and the red. But eventually, you realise that the body on the floor is Mary Brown, and that the inverted crucifix shape splayed on the floor is made up of her organs. And we'll leave it there.
Holy moly.
Jonny!
Well, this got
What?
a bit more intense.
We should have stayed inside. Staying
inside didn't do Mary much good, did it?
Well,
I was going to say, inside is ruined now as well. Where am I going to go?
This has speeded up suddenly.
Righto.
Any questions or comments, please put them in the chat and John can put them up on screen for us to discuss.
John's got one. It's just...
We'll do... I'll quickly do promo. Tuesday nights are Blades in the Dark. Wednesday nights are Simba Room. The first Saturday of every month is a different one-shot. Apart from this month, it's actually the second Saturday, which is this coming Saturday. And Pierre is running Dungeon World. And then next Monday, we'll find out whether Mary Brown is still alive. She's not still alive. But next Monday will be more Call of Cthulhu. Yeah. Everyone's silent, stunned into silence.
How are we ever going to recover from this, Jonny? That's the only question I have. I mean, as people, not as characters.
I'm so worried about William.
Yeah, don't touch William and don't touch them, Jonny.
You know, we were walking to the cottage, wondering whether we could trust the Reverend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know whether to trust the Reverend less or more now, weirdly.
I know.
I'm worried I've stunned chat into silence as well.
I mean, I think the main question that everyone's thinking is just, what the hell? And just, what?
The main question I'm thinking is, like, how do we continue from this point? This isn't a murder mystery anymore. This is murder.
Thanks, Night Bites, for the sub this evening. Thank you very much. And thanks for the follow a few days ago from Alice the Triplet. Yeah, I think I've genuinely stunned everybody into silence. So,
yeah, this requires some considerable recalibration, I think.
Here we were making detailed notes about things and considering stuff, and now it's just been all just go downhill very quickly.
Big
Yeah.
yikes energy from Steve there. Yeah.
So was this basically, Jonny, was this God, these players, they really spend a lot of time just theorizing and chatting. We really got to throw some action into this.
We knew it was going to happen eventually, I suppose.
No one's fired a gun in ages. It's been like 6 years.
I wasn't prepared.
This isn't the way we wanted to start the camping trip. Like, it's all going to be.
Yeah, Mac is just
atmosphere
staying
is
outside.
gonna be wrong.
Put a real dampener on the group camping
I'm
trip.
not going to stay outside over at the stroke of midnight now. No way.
Can we
Weird
catch the
hymns.
ferry?
Yeah, let's just fuck off.
Run, just run.
That's a legitimate strat.
Well-
Anybody who doesn't think that that's all right to do in a Call of Cthulhu game.
Although there's the whole, being kind of involved tangentially in
Well, yeah, if you run away
murder.
now, it's going to look a bit
Yeah.
suspicious.
yeah.
I mean, that's still probably a million miles better than being involved in whatever's going on here, but
And what the hell are we going to do with the Reverend?
Yeah.
there's so many things we're screwed about. Yeah.
If you want to
Well,
find
yeah.
out what they do with the Reverend, come back next week.
Please tell us. Give suggestions on a postcard.
I'm worried that enjoy is the wrong word, but I hope everybody has enjoyed this evening. And
I certainly experienced it.
yeah.
That was
Please
great.
come back tomorrow for Blades in the Dark, Wednesday for Simba Room, Saturday for Dungeon World, and next Monday to find out what they do with the Reverend and everything else. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.